Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome to a brand new camp build. Today we're going to be working with the brand new Pirate Ship Prefab that appeared this week on the Atomic Shop. This thing's pretty good fun. I'm really looking forward to diving into this one, so let's get cracking. Okay, so yeah, this Pirate Ship Prefab arrived on the Atomic Shop this week. It's a Fallout First freebie. It's this month's offering, and it's pretty darn cool. Bethesda have done a decent job on this, and it's a lot of fun to work with, and got a lot of characters, so let's have a look at where we are, first and foremost. There we go, Twin Lakes right there in the Savage Divide. Decent spot, quite a popular area to build this one. Camp's right next to it. There's Huntersville over that way, Foundation just down to the south, and White Spring just over there. So yeah, pretty central, pretty popular area to build. This is one of those rare marked locations you can actually build on, and it's pretty cool. So, makes sense to be building on or near water, given the pirate ship themes. That's what we're going to do with the lake here, just over on the eastern side of it. We've got two different versions of this particular prefab. There's a sea legs version, which goes on water, as we can see there. And there is a land-based version as well. This one's actually now sitting under the water for some reason. As it turns out, the land-based version is the one we needed, because the sea one is particular about being on water, whereas the land-based one's a little bit more flexible, so we're going to work with that one. They're otherwise exactly the same, so the idea here is to have it sitting up nice and flush with the edge of the land here. We've got quite a big step down, and the sea legs version will not work with that sort of step up in the land, so fortunately the landlubber one will, and we can line this up with a sort of curve of the land there where I want it. Get that fitting quite nicely. Yep. And make sure it's not too high. And now we can add some extra bits. So I'm doing a fairly simple build with this one, keeping it quite short and sweet, practical really, because it's really the idea is to show off the prefabs. So we're going to go with that kind of nautical theme a little bit more and make it look like this pirate ship is somewhat docked. So I'm just going to use some foundations to create a kind of dock around it. Whilst this particular prefab has been done rather well, there is one tiny little issue, if I'm going to nitpick. As usual, it isn't quite the same width as a set of foundations. It's a little bit wider. So we end up with a slight issue on in terms of a gap on the other side in a minute. But it's not the end of the world. It's not a major problem. But it is what it is. So, we also have the shiny new free cam mode available for building now. So I thought we'd take a little look at this. As you can see, it gives us a lot more flexibility while we're getting these foundations in. Now that I've got everything lined up properly. It's an interesting addition, this free cam thing. I've got sort of mixed feelings on it. The initial setup, which is kind of what I'm doing here, is pretty whippy. It flies around quite a lot. I've actually slowed the footage down because if I didn't, it would be really motion sickness inducing, so it is what it is. You can dive into the settings though, and in the game menu you find scroll speed settings for free cam mode, so you can slow it down if you want to. I would recommend doing that. I have since done that, and it is definitely a little bit easier to control. And it does take a little bit of getting used to. One of the cool things is that the camera will just pass straight through walls, things like that, so you don't have to worry about your positioning so much. You do have to be able to see what you're doing, which is always an issue with Fallout building in general, but it does work quite well. It's not so great for precise placement, though, I have noticed that. So, I'm going to drop a second pirate ship in here, just to add a little bit more to the build and do a bit more interesting stuff with it. Unfortunately, I can't quite line it up where I want to if I'm having it facing the same way here, so I'm going to flip the thing around and put it on at 90 degrees. It's just because of the lie of the land there, that little sort of lump of rock is causing a few issues. But from this side, it's going to work a little bit better. The bowsprit there might be having a few issues, but we manage okay. One of the cool things, though, is this front edge, at the very least, will sit very, very snugly up against the foundations, and judging by how easily I ran the foundations down the sides of the other one, I'm pretty sure it'll do the same on the sides as well. However, there is quite a step up there, and we're going to have to do something about that, otherwise we'll have to jump. So, I'm going to get this foundation in here on the side as a kind of a guideline, and this is where the free cam kind of falls down a bit with the precise placement and height adjustments and stuff like that. You're better off switching back to the regular mode for that, which is what I've done. So, fairly standard sort of trick here, just to put small stairs in such a way as they're floating and clip them through foundations. But we need to get the line right first. This one's jumped about a bit, so we're going to have to do some manual adjustment. See how that looks. A little too far there. Pull it back just a tiny little bit. There we go. That looks good to me. So from here, we've got these more or less the right height. Perhaps tiny little bit low, but it works out all right. Now we can just sort of snap onto the side and extend these out to where I need them to be to put the stairs in. That way we'll be able to path nicely into the ship when we put it back. So I'm going to need to pull these foundations out in order to get the stairs in, because the wooden ones are awkward like that. There we go. Stair in. Now we put the foundations back. Build order making all the difference as usual. Just extend this back out. Nice. Now we can start at the stairs, work away from them, and we can have the stairs floating nice and easy. So, let's maneuver this pirate ship back into place. It's being a bit awkward here. Free camp might have actually helped place that in the first place, which is interesting. It might have been a bit easier there. On the other hand, it also works if you just drop the thing down anywhere it'll go and then move it afterwards. Once it's placed, it's generally a bit easier to move things around. I think the game understands how they work a little bit better once it's been placed. With a few careful adjustments, we'll line this up with the stairs. There we go. Looks pretty good to me. Nice. So that is basically most of the building. We're just going to get a few railings in here just to tidy things off a little bit. Experimented with a few options here, but settled on the basic ones as they basically just look better for this particular build. Also on this inner side, not that I'm going to have any there, the struts that lean out on the ship would have gotten in the way with a taller fence as well. That one needs to come out too. So we'll close this one off. You can see we've got that big gap on the left there that's not ideal, but you could kind of work with that. If you didn't want it sitting so close on the left here, we could move it over a bit and make adjustments and make it work. But I think I'm happy for now, so let's get a couple of railings on this entranceway, and then it will be time to head off and decorate this thing. So, I will see you in the tour in just a moment. So, much decoration later, here we go. Nice and colourful. It looks quite, it gives me a summer vibe, this camp, to be honest, which I quite like. Plenty of decoration done on here, a few extra crops and bits and pieces outside to dress it up. Quite happy with how that looks. Used a few brambles just to kind of make the build and the existing environment kind of flow together a little better. Yeah, prefab looks pretty darn cool, pretty stable. It's a lot of fun. It's silly, but I think I kind of worked with that quite well given the theme that I went for, at least with this one on the left. So I've gone for basically a restaurant, diner, bar type deal for the decoration on the inside. There are ship-based, ship-themed restaurants and stuff out there that look somewhat like this. So I felt the idea worked. Got my crafting stuff on the side here. Yeah, I'm quite happy with how it came out. Looks like dead simple to do, but sometimes simple is exactly what the doctor ordered. With the complexity of the prefabs as well, obviously all the different angles and bits and pieces, they certainly provide enough detail that the rest of it sort of contrasts quite nicely and doesn't detract from them as a set piece, which I quite like. The door's pretty cool on that as well. I'll have a little look around the inside in just a moment. We'll take a little swing around here first and have a look at my crafting area. I've squeezed a few bits and pieces in here from the new update, Nuka World on Tour. Picked a few bits up, but still a long way to go. A lot of stuff still to get for me, so got a mixed bag, but there's a few bits in there. See all my crafting stuff down here. We've got a little fight between some feral ghouls and some ragsags going on in the distance there, so I'll have to attend to in just a moment. But yeah, pretty happy with how this comes out. Nothing exciting really about this crafting area, but it does the job. It squeezes in. There's plenty of other bits and pieces to dress it up as well. Do like this new Nuka-Cola display. This one's available at the moment. I think it's on the Atomic Shop, I think. But yeah, definitely worth looking out for that. It's just a Nuka-Cola display, like the one we already have in the game, except, you know, fridge-like. So just a few bits and pieces down here, just to fill in the gaps, really, between the workbenches. Makes it quite nice, and sort of gives it that finished look. Unfortunately, the grass is clipping through as the foundations are very, very low to the ground here, which is Not ideal, but we can live with it. Let's have a little look around the inside, our restaurant diner thing. Here's a little runner rug here. Quite happy with that one. It's on the Atomic Shop at the moment. I think this was another freebie, to be honest. It is quite cool. See, I've gone heavily into the Red Rocket Diner stuff, because it kind of gives that right impression. I thought about putting sort of bar tables and chairs around, but it just didn't feel quite right. Decoration's a bit light touch in here. With the portholes and stuff, it can be a bit difficult to decorate the wall. And obviously, with the red and white theme, I'm only just starting to get enough red and white Nuka-Cola themed decoration to really go crazy for it, so it's a bit light touch in this particular one. It's a bit more heavily decorated in the player home on the other side. We'll have a look at in a moment. Yeah, quite like how this works. Decorating this up was reasonably easy. These walls here, however, that we're looking at now in the corner, obviously those slope outwards, so decorating those is a bit of an issue, but it does make sense in this case to have sloping walls, so swings and roundabouts, I guess. I really do like that they've included this sort of little poop deck, I suppose, out back, which is a cool feature, and the fact you can come out here is nice. It is rather small, though, so for this particular build, I did struggle to come up with something that was going to sort of make sense up here. If you wanted to use it as a home or something like that, you could probably put some crafting benches or something up here. And you could probably do the same at the top there in the middle. You can easily access that, but you kind of have to do a bit of hopping to get there, which is not ideal for a tour. So I kept it fairly simple out here, but it's kind of cool that you can put some stuff out here nonetheless. As I say, very, very compact little space though, so kind of got to bear that in mind. Speaking of compact spaces, you can really tell when you walk down here just how narrow the staircase is. It doesn't look it so much on the way up, but on the way down, they've definitely shrunk it a little bit. But it works, you can get through it, looks good. So, let's take a little swing outside. I will deal with this feral ghoul that is starting to wail on my camp, and then we will carry on. Gotta close the door though. There we go. One less feral ghoul to worry about. Let's go and have a look at the other half of the camp. So yeah, around this side I've got a few of the essentials here. We've got our Collectron, and there's the Symptomatic at the back end there. There was plenty of sort of unused space when I was done with the stuff I needed to get in, so I've added a few extra bits and pieces of sort of junk and stuff to dress the whole thing up, which looks alright, kind of keeps busy, but there's plenty of room to path around it as well, which I quite like. And the water wheel generator tucked in the back there, that sort of made sense. And there is a water purifier. Crops and water purifier are in because I've changed my legendary perk loadout lately, and therefore need food and drink again, so nice to have those in. Let's take a little look around at the inside of our player home, which is a bit more thoroughly decorated, because I felt the kind of crazier, busier, less tidy in a way look worked better for a player home than for sort of a restaurant, really. Loads of bits and pieces on the wall. Quite happy with how this place looks. Those portholes are very, very cool, and I like them, but if I'm being nitpicky, which I'm going to be apparently, then it does mean that you can't put some of the larger wall decoration items up, or in not in so many places without covering parts of the porthole, so you have to pick and choose a little carefully there. We've got our goldfish from the Nuka-Cade there, as well as a couple of bits of the Nuka World on Tour stuff that I've picked up so far on display as well. Definitely going to have to do a Nuka-Cola themed camp once I've got a lot more stuff, and there is definitely a lot more stuff to get, having had a thumb through the build menu. Squeeze a little kitchen in here. I know we've got cooking station in the other one, but I felt like, you know, a home, it needed a cooking space, kitchen, and I also had dead space to fill up as well, so it was kind of a win-win there. Went for the Camden Park grill as well, just to mix things up, because I don't use it very often. Nice little dining area too. Yeah, incidentally, I have heard on various places online people running into issues with free camo, building and stuff missing. I can't say I have. Everything that should be there is there in my building menu, and a whole load of stuff I've yet to unlock as well. And everything seems to be okay, really. The one thing I have noticed that I think is a free cam related thing is the player character's body, if you're not in free cam, gets in the way a bit more than it used to. I mean, it always did, but it gets in the way a little bit more, and you have to be stood a bit further away from the item you're trying to place than you used to. So that might be something to keep an eye out for, but it's not critical, so that's fine. Got my decon arch up top here. I was able to wire it nicely into the connector for the prefab as well, so that worked quite well. Again, kept it fairly simple because limited space and all. Yeah, quite nice up here. One of the things they have got right, in fact, they've got most things right with these prefabs, apart from maybe the scale a tiny little bit, but that's really is nitpicky. They've managed to sort of take on board a lot of the criticisms about recent prefabs, as good as they have been, for this particular one, I think. And the power covers the whole thing, it's nicely put together, stuff doesn't sink through the floor. Everything that's been sort of critical about the last few, which tends to be like one thing here, one thing there for different prefabs, but all of that stuff, they seem to have taken it on board and fixed it for these, or avoided it for this one, so pretty pleased about that. They've done a nice job on this, and it's good fun. Definitely like this. Nice, entertaining, cozy little home, and nice place to hang out in between one's wasteland adventures. Let's close up there, have a little look around the outside here, just again on our way out. I haven't used that grill in forever, and I don't know why exactly. It's a nice piece of random decoration stuff, so I thought I'd drop it in today. Yeah, I do like it. It's kind of got a nice colourful vibe, but not too colourful, this. Came out quite well. Definitely got that summer feeling, I think. I really do get that vibe with the colours and stuff. Let's have a little pan around to have another quick look at my crafting area. Once we dodge Nuka-Cola Boy here, who's clearly going to get in the way. Hopefully, with some of the stuff in the season, we won't have to worry too much about him for much longer. Got the new ammo box there as well, along with a scrap box and a stash box next to it as well. So everything you need is right out front where I can get at it quick and easy. Same with the punch card machine too. And I'm guessing from the Pittsburgh signs, my character must be trying to relive his student days, because he seems to have pinched a lot of road signs. What can you do, eh? I do like them though, it's fun, even though they don't make a whole lot of sense. Well, there we go. Hope you folks enjoyed this one. If you did, please do consider dropping subs and likes. I very much appreciate. Social media links, merch store, channel memberships, all that good stuff down below the video as well if you're interested. Really appreciate the support in that way. It massively helps out. Huge thank you to everyone who's done that already. And if you get a chance, do join us for live streams as well. We are, of course, playing Fallout 76, enjoying the Nuka World content, and we're playing the Callisto Protocol, which has been fun too. But for now, thank you very much for watching, and I look forward to speaking to you all very, very soon.